Ken Trahan with Lenny Vangilder. It's our first NBC Bank weekend preview brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout southeast Louisiana and into the Florida Panhandle. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. Well, the Saints wrapped up minicamp, so it's ending, and therefore nothing happening until training camp convenes in late July in West Virginia. Lenny, a lot of positive things emanating from this. You would expect nothing less, but you hear some of the comments. And I thought Zach Strief, who's always been a go-to guy and a really good guy, by the way, who maxes out with his ability and potential and his effort and is great in the community, I thought it was great to see him testy about taking on Las Vegas and the odds makers and saying that, hey, we're going to show them something. You know, I thought that was pretty cool.
You know, one thing that we've learned over the years of these Sean Payton coach teams, they're going to look for something that is said negatively against them, that's, to put that so-called chip on their shoulder to be able to use as motivation for the year. You can believe that when those things came out there about win totals and odds to reach the Super Bowl, all those kind of things, Sean Payton's probably got him up in the locker room there saying, hey, look what these people think about you. They don't think you can do this. Any kind of motivation that he can generate, you can best believe he's going to use that to his advantage.
College baseball, of course, a lot of guys drafted from area schools, and now decisions to be made. A couple have been made already, but there's a lot of people right now they're kind of chewing their fingernails waiting to see what's going to happen with some key players at schools here locally.
Well, on two fronts. You're looking at signees, seniors in high school, or maybe even JUCO guys who have signed to go play for your school next year. You're trying to figure out if they're indeed going to make it to campus, or those juniors that were drafted, or in some cases sophomores, in the case of Greg Dykman, who's already decided to return, who are trying to decide, am I going to come back to school or am I going to start pursuing a pro career? I mentioned Dykman, also Cole Freeman saying that he is going to stay. So that's, it's good news, or I should say Kramer Robertson, not Cole Freeman,
right,
who made the decision to come back to LSU. So, and some guys are signing as well. Jake Rogers signing his deal with the Astros. Fully expect that Jake Fraley is going to sign any day now to pursue his pro career. So
Riley Smith signed,
yeah. So you're going to see some of those as well. So those decisions are going to get made. The one thing that they did in baseball that finally made some sense is they moved that deadline up to around the middle of July for those guys to make a decision. So 2 days before school starts, you don't have coaches getting hit with a mass exodus on their hands and don't have scholarships to give out really at that point.
Speaking of baseball, the Zephyrs home for a brief homestand, 4-gamer against Oklahoma City Friday night through Monday, and of course that means a local star comes home.
Rob Seguin, the former Tulane third baseman, having a really good year at AAA. One step from the big leagues. Could he be the next former Tulane player or hometown hero to make it to the big leagues? Very good shot. A lot of guys really knocking on the door, and kudos to Ryan Schimpf, who finally gets a shot and basically made the Padres call him up the way he was hitting the ball in El Paso and took advantage of it in his first career at bat.
No question. The New Orleans Pelicans, everybody waiting to see what happens because the draft is coming up next week, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens with their first-round choice, 6th overall. Of course, their back-to-back picks, 39th and 40 overall. As I've advocated for a long time, please keep your picks and build that way. I know people don't want to look at that and trying to say building for the future, but the fact of the matter is, as we've said many times, it hasn't worked with the way they've done it otherwise. And here's an opportunity with 3 picks in the top 40 to possibly make hay.
It'd be interesting to see just how they do this. Of course, we're a week away next Thursday night. How they're going to go about this. Had a bunch of guys in early in the week, really guys who are in that 39-40 range that could come here. Obviously the focus is going to be on 6 and what happens there, because that's the kind of guy who's got to make an impact on your club right away. You're not drafting for the future, so to speak there. It may not be a starter. This isn't, a lot of people follow the NFL draft more so than the NBA draft. It's not always a starter situation, but it's a guy who's got to contribute significant minutes from day one.
High school football previews up at SportsNOLA.com. Most recently, you can check out Holy Cross. We have North Lake Christian going up and also Lakeshore, among others. So check out all those high school football previews as we get you ready for the upcoming high school football season, which is just around the corner. I guess the good news there, it's good news, bad news. Good news is Still only 9 championships. The bad news, 9 championships.
Have a busy couple of weekend marathon and sitting in your perch high above the Mercedes-Benz Superdome.
I'd rather not.
Well, I know we'd all rather be there for just one weekend, but unfortunately, it is what it is. And look, I think the big thing now, other than the previews, the big thing to watch for here as we count down to August is that we're going to see some movement from those so-called select schools, the privates, in terms of making a move for what their future is going to be, or are they going to stand pat? I would tend to lean towards the former. If you're ever going to do it, now is the time. Let's see how it all plays out.
Indeed. That's our First NBC Bank Weekend Preview, brought to you by First NBC Bank with 35 locations throughout the New Orleans area and beyond. That's First NBC Bank, proud sponsor of SportsNOLA.com. He's Lenny. I'm Kenny. Have a great weekend, and God bless you.